So this is where everything started to go wrong. I'll do a quick insert here to explain the whole story about how my worst nightmare happened even before the trip started. Hey guys, so I'm here to share about the worst travel experience I ever had, and it was all my fault. So basically everything was fine until I boarded the plane. So we arrived with a lot of time. I think we were maybe 3 hours early. We had dinner, we passed through security, everything was fine. When we got to the boarding gate, there was a big line as usual, and I showed my passport, I showed my boarding ticket, everything was fine. So after that, we were waiting for maybe, I don't know, 10 minutes more or less. That I have no idea how long this whole situation actually took, but this is more or less the time I feel like it happened. So when they finally said, okay, you can go to board, me and my boyfriend, we boarded through different doors because we didn't pay for the seats together, and he was in the front of the plane and I was in the back of the plane. My seat was literally the last row, and obviously the middle one, because in Ryanair, if you don't pay for your seat, you're gonna have like the worst one possible. So there are a few things to take in consideration. So before we were going to pass through the boarding gate, I took out my bag of my backpack and started putting a few things there, and for some divine reason, the zipper of my bag decided not to work. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna hold my passport until we get to the plane because I don't want to put it in my bag because I don't want anything important to fall out. So I was with my passport and with my phone holding it in my hands until I got to the plane. The thing is, I was already thinking, okay, so I'm just gonna sit and put my passport in the back pocket as it was before. I didn't really have much time because when I was going to do that, the person that was going to sit next to me in the window, he was like 85 or something. He was a lot older. I had to get up and I was like holding a lot of stuff, and somewhere in the middle of that, I lost my passport. I only noticed that my passport was missing like, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes after that. It was only when the flight attendants were doing the security measure thing that I realized that I wasn't with my passport anymore, because I was always thinking, oh, I have to put it away, I have to put it away. And then when I actually went to do that, I was like, where's my passport? And then I was like, maybe I already put it away and I don't remember. So I was searching through my whole backpack. I couldn't find it anywhere. So I actually started to panic. And I called a flight attendant and I explained the whole thing. I was like, I just showed my passport. I don't know where it is. It's nowhere here. So maybe it fell like maybe between the gate and here, but I don't know where it is. Please help me. And I was starting to panic. And then the guy was like, okay, so you'll need to leave the plane because you can't land in Morocco without a passport, or else you will go to jail. I was like, oh my God. No, please, please, no. And I was like, can you please go there and call my boyfriend because he's sitting in the front of the plane. Like I said, what was the seat that he was sitting. And like a few minutes later, my boyfriend comes and he was like, what happened? I was like, oh, I don't know what happened. My passport just disappeared. I don't know where I put it. Like maybe it fell from my pocket, because sometimes I was putting it in my pocket, but I was always like feeling that it was there. And I was like, I've searched everywhere, it's not here. So the plane was already like ready to go, and they had to go all the way back. So like the pilot had to go out on the speakers and say, we're going back because someone lost their passport, they're going to have to leave the plane. And it was a whole situation. Like, I hate being the center of attention, and like especially in this type of situation. And I was really panicking. I was having a panic attack. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. Because I was already thinking like the whole trip was going to have to be canceled, because I would have to do a new passport, like an emergency passport. And that was going to cost like 100 and something euros. And then I would have to buy new tickets, like for me and my boyfriend, because obviously I wouldn't let him pay for that because it was my fault. And then I was just thinking about the trip to the desert that we had already scheduled, and that we weren't going to be able to reschedule that. So I was like, oh my God, this is my worst nightmare. So basically the plane went all back to the place that we boarded, And when we got there, the flight attendant told me, okay, just wait here because we're going to call the security guy and he's gonna come in to take a picture of your ticket, because if you leave the plane, you won't be able to get in again. I don't know for what reason, but that's just like the rules. So I was like, okay, fine. And then the security guy came and I told the whole story about how I think my passport maybe fell like somewhere in the 100 meters from the door until the plane. And I was like, please help me. This is like my worst nightmare happening. Please, 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 someone help me. And then this guy left. And then we were talking to the flight attendant and then we were just like, please wait just like 5 minutes for the guy to search for the passport. It has to be somewhere because I just shown the passport like in the boarding gate. And he was like, no, but we can't wait. That's the thing, we can't wait because the airport in Marrakech closes. And if we don't arrive there in time, the plane is gonna have to come back. And like, it was a whole situation. It was super, super, super stressful. And I just know that in the middle of that conversation, I feel like a tap in my arm. And it was the old guy sitting next to me. And he just raised a passport. And I was like, I think he didn't speak Portuguese nor English. So he was just like doing like this with the passport. And then I took it and opened it and I saw it was my passport. I was like, oh my God, where was this? Because we had searched like the whole area and it was nowhere to be found. And he just like pointed that it was in between my seat and his. I looked at the passport and I saw my picture, but I just wasn't really believing that it was mine. So I showed it to my boyfriend and he was like, no, yeah, this is yours. And then we let the flight attendant know and he communicated with the pilot, and then the pilot went on the speaker and said, good news, she found the passport. And then everyone started clapping. It was, I don't know. I have no idea like how long this took. I think it maybe took 15 minutes, but it felt like eternity. And I was sweating and I was crying and it was a whole thing. After that, the flight was fine, no problems. My boyfriend actually sat next to me because the seat was empty, so he just stayed there. Now the sun is coming to end the story. That was very stressful. Very, very much stressful. But at the end, everything worked fine. So the next images will be the day that we spent in Marrakech for you guys. I booked with the Riyadh a transfer, so someone went to the airport to pick us up and took us until the place that was the nearest possible to the Riyadh, because the street of the Riyadh doesn't pass any cars. So when we got there, the hotel owner was already waiting for us and he took us all the way. And when we got there, we met with my friend Omema that was already waiting for us. And it was so nice because it had been already a year since we last saw each other. She's from Morocco, so it was really nice to be able to see her there and spend these days with her. The first place we went in Marrakech was the Secret Garden. It was really nice. The last time that I've been in Marrakech, we didn't go there, so it was a really nice garden. It's so pretty and even like refreshing, because Marrakech can be quite overwhelming and overstimulating. Honestly, it's quite hectic. Like, it's always a lot of people crossing, and it's people walking with bikes and then motorcycles and cars all at the same place, and it can be a bit much sometimes. So going to this garden was really nice because it gives you like a little escape of the reality of Marrakech. And we did the tour that goes up the tower, so we were able to see the whole view of Marrakech. And the guide explained us that in Marrakech no buildings can be taller than the mosque, so that's the highest that we can see from outside of the mosque. And we were able to see the mountains, because Marrakech is like a valley, so it has the Atlas mountain, and on the other side it has another mountain that I forgot right now the name. But it was really nice to see the whole view, and yeah, I think it's super worth the visit. After the Secret Garden, we went to the Medersa Ben Youssef. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong, but it used to be an Islamic school being founded almost a century ago. It was one of the most important theological centers of all Northern Africa, having over 900 students. Nowadays, it's only open for visits and not a school anymore. The next stop was the main square, because we were looking for an ATM to withdraw money. And on our way there, we went through the Medina. It's huge, it has so many streets. It's almost like a maze, because you can definitely get lost there. And we did a little pit stop because I needed to buy a new bag. And I found this one that was handmade with raffia and leather. And the guy of the store was super nice. He even did an extra hole for me on the strap because it was too long. And after that, we went straight to the main square and we had lunch there. The main square, it can be very hectic. At that time that we went, it wasn't so much, but I think when it's the most hectic is at night. And it has everything. It has stores, it has food carts, it has people with the monkeys on chains that I really do not appreciate, and I don't have any image of that, and snakes and all of that. But we found a restaurant that actually we went at the same place the first time that I went to Marrakech, and I even have here pictures of 6 years ago and now with my friend. And it's a really cheap restaurant. It was the cheapest meal that we've done in Morocco. And yeah, it was good. It's not the best food, but it was good.